What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the latest episode of Partner First. It has been a ridiculous last couple of weeks. We had channel partners, then we had ASCII, then we had IT Nation Connect last week. I am very, very, very happy to be back home and joined by you guys. And we had a MVNO webinar yesterday for our Mobile X launch. And I'm very happy to be doing this event. And then I'm doing a live AMA with Grady and MSP at 3 p.m. Eastern. So just sit down, enjoy yourselves, hanging out with us for the day. It's going to be a good time. And speaking of good time, I'm happy to be joined again by a friend. I'm sure you've seen him on the tech bar with us a couple times. Mr. Aaron Bolton, how you doing, sir?
Quite well. Oh, there I am.
Hello. Oh, you're muted.
How are you doing, Ray? Check.
Can you say something for me? Yeah, there you go. It's me. Windows 11 doesn't like me. How you doing?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I think I don't want to, no conspiracies, but ever since that notification has come up saying update, my battery life has been, and I don't.
Yeah. So I have a funny thing that if I pause any media, like on YouTube, on anywhere, it mutes the entire platform. My entire system's muted. If Simon raises video, and I just realized if Simon puts somebody on screen or something on screen, it mutes my audio, which makes it really fun for live streams. So
right. Fantastic.
Yeah, man. How you doing, dude?
Man, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing very well. It's you're down in Miami, right? So I'm not too far away.
Yeah.
I'm in Tampa, and I'm surprised not like the whole population in Tampa doesn't just get pneumonia. It's freezing in the morning. And freezing, I'm talking about Tampa freezing, so 55 degrees.
55, yeah.
55, but I mean, by noon it's 80. You know, I mean that's a big jump. But
yeah, we're opening the windows in the morning and closing the blinds in the afternoon. It's like it's a little nuts. For those of you that don't know, for those of the audience that don't know, give us some of your history. Obviously, Aaron Bolton Leadership's where you are today, but give us a little bit about your history and how you got to where you are now.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. So, I've been in leadership development or learning and development for about a little over 15 years. And it was like maybe a few months ago, I calculated how much a little over 15 years, and I'm just going to keep sticking with a little over 15 years. 20 years from now, it's still going to be a little over 15 years.
Smart move. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I've had a good amount of time in learning and development, and in 2019 decided to jump out on my own and start my own company. And so far, it's been doing quite well. Even through COVID. COVID had some hiccups. I mean, I don't know if anyone else can relate, but it was a good bounce back. It's been a really good bounce back. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what else. Everything seems the whole new normal. How people keep saying the new normal. I mean, it's just right. We don't. That's not tech bar. We don't. Right. But that whole new normal is. It's getting so annoying because it's just changing. It just changes, and we just have to adapt to the changes. But yeah.
And you just gave a presentation at IT Nation Connect last week also. What was your session on?
It was a great. I thoroughly enjoyed the panel discussion. It was on culture, retention, and engagement of employees. And great questions, a lot of engagement from the audience. It was really cool. Like there was, hands shooting up. So that's pretty exciting. That's not on me. That's on the wonderful IT Nation there. That was, always constantly trying to learn, constantly learning.
Easily my favorite conference. Absolutely my favorite conference. And you know a little bit about, culture and retention and, how to develop people. That's kind of your thing, right? Like is that the gist of, I mean, you said leadership for 15 years
right.
plus, but what is leadership exactly?
Yeah. Well, and you know what, that's a really good question. Let's break it back down to the difference between training and development. I think I want to clear that out right off the gate, because I often hear, well, we need some training or we need some leadership development. Let's start there. Well, I want leadership development in my company. And I started asking, well, what is it that what are some issues? Oh, we need communication training.
Right,
Okay,
right.
well, and usually, and that's really the number one request. The number one request. It's been before COVID, during COVID, after COVID. It will always be communication training is the number one.
What about when you have like a difficult employee? Like I don't want to name any names or point any pictures out. But if you have certain shaved head individuals that live in the Northeast that sometimes don't listen,
Right.
and they don't want to learn. You ever come across something like that where the employees don't want to learn?
I can't think of one person that you might be speaking of, but yeah, definitely. And I think the last time I was on Tech Bar, somebody asked that question, but I stick to. I've never run into someone who's just like uncoachable or not wanting to learn.
Right.
Like,
Actually, yeah, I do remember that question. That's good memory for the amount of drinking we were doing. So not bad.
But no, when I do come across someone who is reluctant to learn or not wanting to learn, I strip away my ego. I try to take my ego out of it. Like, why is this going to hurt me? Why am I, why should I be upset because someone else isn't trying to learn? And I humble myself and I ask them if there's something that I've done wrong. Is there something I can connect with them on? And most times just opening up a dialogue that takes care of a lot of the situations, with someone just being reluctant. And
that's I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Not everyone will. And I tell people, especially in development training sessions, people always come up with that one situation that's like, when Mordor, it's like one of those really obscure situations, and you just got to sometimes go down to some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting.
So now the takeaway of this. Sean's going to go back and say, well, Aaron said to humble yourself. So thanks for that, Aaron. You're trying to help. I'm not sure if you're helping.
That's what I do. Because I'm the most humble. I've got a shirt with #1 humility.
Did you just humble brag about being humble?
I mean, I don't want to humble brag. No.
So developing people, that's kind of what we're talking about right now, right? That's the whole point. Reducing churn by closing the skills gap, because it's hard to bring on employees, right? Like that was one of the things, one of our strategies to keep growing. We went from 12 employees to we're at 30, and I'm still interviewing now. I think we're going to do another 3 this year and another 15 next year. And one of the things, when COVID happened, we started hiring nationally, globally, actually, because we have employees outside the US as well. And we had to work harder and harder to bring in the employee pool. So once you have employees, you want to hold on to them for dear life. I mean, assuming they're quality employees, right? And if they're not quality employees, that's your fault as a manager. I've never had somebody leave the company or I've terminated somebody that I didn't feel personally responsible for, right? Because either you didn't identify correctly or you couldn't coach them correctly, or you didn't get out of them what you saw initially. So it's always on the manager. But once you have them, churn is deadly. So how do you make them more valuable? And that's what we're talking about today, right?
Absolutely. I think it's good to start off with maybe just getting an idea, getting our taste buds a little wet here on the job market right now, the IT job market. I mean, clickety click, things work when there it is. Like understanding some about the IT job market. How are you finding it? Pretty easy finding people? Easy, not so easy?
It's challenging because now I attract talent the same way I attract clients. I use circles of influence. I use networking. So for the higher players, for the key players, I have people that I've been stalking, for lack of a better word, for years. And I always have my little all-star list of, and I'll reach out and say, hey, if you're ever looking, hit me up, give me a chance to take a swing. For the starting employees, though, for the ones that are, coming on the help desk or the entry level positions, that's harder because you're seeing people that are demanding ridiculous salaries. You see people that are they're much more picky, which is not a bad thing. I'm all about employee empowerment. I found the quality of questions interviewees ask nowadays is so much better. It was, to get somebody in a you know how it goes. You get somebody in a six-figure salary interview. The interviewee is asking as many questions as the interviewer, right? They're asking about career development. They're asking about, what does my day work like? What is my coworkers? What's my management like? What's my expectation here as far as lifetime with the company? Or, is this a one and done? Am I doing a couple of years for resume padding and leaving? That was the norm for higher positions. I'm seeing those questions now on the $30,000 a year positions, which is phenomenal. I love it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's great.
Yeah, I love it. And I mean, I think a lot of that can be attributed to, internet, right? I think that's a huge portion of it. You can Google, and I remember, so I have interviewed well over 1,000 people. I've interviewed well over 1,000 people, and I've seen throughout the years those, just like you're saying, the interview questions, their interviewee questions, getting more robust. And I've also gone back and throughout the years, Google search, trying to find better questions, just being in that realm. And I've seen those questions also get more robust. So now it just makes sense to me that those individuals who are, just trying to find a job, whether it's 30,000, 50, 100, they're Googling the same things, right? And they're finding the same content out there. And the content out there now, that a lot of it, there's much less watered down content when it comes to interview questions. And you'll find, what's your greatest weakness? Those I'm a hard worker.
I'm too honest.
Right? I think that's what it comes down to. They're the maybe entry level or early in their career, they're finding the same questions, and it's impressive. I think it's very impressive. I don't think. I'm trying to think at an earlier age. I was trying to. I'll say I was trying to at earlier, trying to ask those hardcore questions. But again, dating myself, the internet wasn't as grand as it is now. So, my questions were, what do you see this position in 5 years?
Yeah, I laugh.
I'm a teller at Bank of America.
One of the things that amazes me also is, personal development, right? Independent learning, personal knowledge. That wasn't unique, or it wasn't uncommon in the tech industries, right? Like, you get a ton of developers that are self-taught, ton of IT people that, they came up reading their own books. Like, my learning, it's the same thing. My learning was, going to the public library or hitting Barnes and Noble, or, purchasing like a big old, we were laughing at like the tomes we used to have, like the Borland C++ and the Delphi Bibles and that kind of stuff. Or my MSDN, DVD libraries. I didn't need to go to the gym. I just carried my books and I was good, and so, but you didn't have that as much for other positions. Nowadays, whether we're hiring for admin or for porting or for administrator or for finance or whatever, a lot of these people, one of the questions I ask them, what have you done in the last 6 weeks or the last 6 months to improve your knowledge of your career? I'm not talking employer-led training. I'm talking independent. And you get a lot of these that are doing the LinkedIn Learning or Lynda, whatever, that are doing the upskills. They're doing like, Corsetro, Udemy, for their own stuff, non-technical, just learning. And the running joke was, every finance person, we were interviewing finance about a year ago, and almost every finance application we had, they all knew Python. And my wife's a CFO. She asked me, should I learn Python? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's okay.
Why would they learn Python? Just because?
So because of data manipulation. And modeling. Yeah. No, it was one of those things. Like, I would never. I'm a big fan of learning coding. So you have, understand logic breakdown and that kind of thing. But having these positions that you would never think in a million years they'd learn scripting languages, and they were,
Right.
because they're making themselves better. So we have Todd. I'm spending my lunch with you. Entertain me.
Oh, sweet. Look at that.
I think the first time I see you, you're not standing up too. So
I know, right? Well, I thought about that last time. I mean, we stayed on the call for hours, and my legs didn't start bothering me until I think it was Martin mentioned it. You or Martin mentioned it. I was like, great. Now I'm aware of it.
The alcohol helps. I'm just saying,
right.
It's like the spinach for Popeye. Yeah.
Absolutely. So looking where we're at right now in the information technology job market, just some stats I want to throw up real quick. The past 12 months or 12-month average, about 14,000 new jobs a month average. Wow. That's strong. All right. That's extremely strong. So far, just in 2021, over 140,000 new jobs added. 140,000 new jobs added, which is insane. Where
do you think this comes from? Do you think this is because businesses scaled back during COVID and now they're coming back in force, or do you think it's because the market's expanding? Where do you think these jobs are coming from?
Some of them, I think some of it is from COVID. We lost right around 33,000 jobs last year because of COVID. So there's a deficit, first time in, I couldn't go back far enough. I think I went all the way back to 2003, 2004. Didn't see it like that at all. But I mean, we're coming up from like 2018 was, I believe it was in like 90 something thousand, and then 2019 I think it was just over like 109,000, then negative 33, and then we're jumping up because I think there's a few things that are at play here. One thing, well, actually I'll jump. Well, 3.72 million in IT pro jobs, right? That's nuts, right? And just to get this out there too. The unemployment rate in IT is 2.1%. The national average is 4.6. So, what
Aaron, could you do me a favor? Could you click that hide button on the screen if you don't mind? Just it's covering some of your stats. Yeah, you have StreamYard is sharing your screen.
I don't know where. Oh, look at that. You mean that hide button?
That one. There you go. We don't want to block any of your beautiful slide. I love numbers. Right. I'm a geek, so.
I know IT. I know where the hyperlink text is. So,
to be fair, you said 15 years plus in leadership, not in IT. So
right, exactly. So I think one thing that we're getting it from COVID. We're just getting it from just emerging technologies are increasing. I mean, so what was it? There was an old Far Side comic strip where it was a little boy, Chauncey. It's always Chauncey. He's in front of the TV playing video games, and his parents are off like peeking around the corner, and they have like a thought bubble, and the thought bubble is like in the future, like classified ad, and it's like a video game tester, right? I mean, we kind of saw that was a joke, but we kind of saw, we've heard technology of the future, you want a future, you need to focus in on technology, and I think we did, and we still missed the mark of how powerful, how strong it's going to be. I mean, especially with 2018, that's when like the big security, the security and protection boom, right, happened. And I think, how could you really account for that, in 2015 or 2010? So I think that's one big part of it. One thing that I think that I haven't heard anyone talk about yet. And maybe it's just because it's too fresh, but I want to get your opinion on it. Maybe I'm completely talking out of left field, but Biden just passed the infrastructure bill that's putting $1.2 trillion into infrastructure. 64 billion of that is into internet, high-speed internet, so broadband. I mean, I think
and
that
the FCC is raising the caps of what they consider to be minimally viable broadband, right? It used to be 13 megs and it was 25 megs, and it's going up. They're considering 105 megs for bandwidth now.
I mean, but you see that happening. I mean, and then you start thinking, okay, well, that's broadband technicians, maybe. It all, the rising tide lifts all the ships,
Yeah.
right? So we're gonna continue seeing this increase. As a matter of fact, and you know what? I didn't pull up the article, but I was reading an article that showed in October the growth actually it went down. It didn't grow IT over from September, and the reason that they attributed to that was because there weren't enough people. There weren't enough people to hire.
Thank you for not saying chip shortage.
What's that?
Thank you for not saying chip shortage. That's the answer for everything, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I can't get a couch. Chip shortage. I can't. It's ridiculous. It's everything you go to get. Oh, we're prices are going up because of chip shortages.
Right. Everything. So I think we're going to continue seeing IT positions, IT jobs continue the growth there, more and more available, more and more open. But I think the only thing that's really going to slow us down is not having the candidates available to hire. It's really what I'm seeing. But all of this, I think you said it good. All of this right here just shows that there's obviously a disproportionate number of jobs to candidates, and it's extremely competitive. It is a candidates market. Right.
We get people all the time that will interview and they'll say, I'm not really looking around. I just wanted to see what's available. I'm like, what? I
then
get it.
Okay, real quick, I'm going to give you a lesson on time and resources and how mine
and mutual respect and you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I get your
Can
car
you finish that up with,
but...
I like you as a friend? What are you doing here?
Right. That's going in for the kiss and getting the hand is like,
right. Hello, high school. And but it all boils down to just extremely slim pickings, right? That's what I'm hearing a lot. That's what I heard a lot of in the panel at IT Nation was just some slim pickings out there.
Todd says, what does that actually mean? It's not you, it's me.
Oh, yes. I guess, can it be both of us? I don't.
Right? It's not me. I know it's not me, but I don't have the humble shirt. I'll say it's not me.
Right. I have to go in and say, because I'm so humble, I have to say, no, it's me. No, it must be me. No.
So gracious.
Oh man, I'm gonna have a flashback to 9th grade. So some of the issues, and tell me if you're finding these two, the issues in IT when it comes to hiring the workforce, the labor issues. One I hear often is difficulty hiring qualified talent. Right? Yeah. Do you see that as well?
So we get the advantage that because we're hiring nationally for most positions, we're putting it out on LinkedIn. We're remote only. Now I see exactly these things with my colleagues, right? With my friends that run their MSPs that are still doing field visits, so they need somebody in the office. Sorry about that. Apparently, spacebar will load up the comment. But these are not made for Cuban Italian speakers. Like I hit keyboards all the time, whatever. But so those guys, my friends are having problems finding local talent because we're fortunate enough where we get to hire from anywhere. We get a lot of markets that traditionally, like we hired a pair of guys out of North Carolina that it was an anemic technical market where they're at, or like really good talent that's just not local jobs available. And we get to take advantage of that. And also as an employer being remote only, I don't care. We have employees that ask me, okay, well, I'm in Alaska, but I want to move here next year. Like, do you care? And I get in an RV with a hotspot. I don't care. If you're available, that's all I care about. That's helped us overcome the challenges. So us personally, no, but I know exactly. I see this every day. Absolutely.
We have that. We hear this also, the increased employee churn, right? We'll touch on that in a second. And the lack of highly skilled team members. So the lack of the skill level of the people on your team. And we'll dive into kind of those points in a bit. But there is some difficulty hiring that
Right.
the qualified, the highly skilled candidates. And just like you said before, right? They're being picky, right? And they can be
Yeah.
picky. It's a candidates market. Candidates have the ability to be very selective. They can play the field, right? They can play the field. They to take it back to high school. They can go to prom with 3 dates and
Yep.
Zach
They
Morris.
can they can double book and they're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The job offers in IT, obviously, because slim
They're
pickings, they're
ridiculous.
much more competitive. And it's not just pay, right? It's pay, it's
Right.
benefits, it's
Oh yeah.
um,
Who was it? Dave Sobel did an episode on his Business of Tech podcast a couple days ago, where he was talking about salary wasn't the cheap, even like the top three that they were looking
nope,
for. It was, they were
like
looking
4
for
or 5.
benefits, they were looking for training, they wanted to make them more valuable. And that's where it goes back to looking for people today. The candidates are more knowledgeable. They get, I'm willing to put in the legwork. You're going to train me and I'm going to be more valuable tomorrow. And that's where my salary is going to come. They're not
Absolutely.
demanding it up front. I love how intelligent these people are, how educated these people are today.
It
It
is,
sucks
you
as
know
an
what?
employer, but I absolutely get it for the employees. Awesome. I love it.
Well, one thing I did notice, and and now this could be attributed to a bunch of things, but I just noticed in my experience is the uh, the acceptance of like furthering your skills up. Before the pandemic and after the pandemic, there's a difference, and I think it goes to a
Yeah.
lot of people being at home and learning more things, or just getting
Yeah.
online and trying, or seeing that other people are into learning things and trying to upskill themselves, so now they have to be more competitive with their skills and their knowledge. So uh,
That's the classic question, right? What skills did you learn during COVID?
right,
Like, it's I don't know anybody that didn't try to, make a sourdough starter or didn't do something.
right,
Everybody learned something, you know what I mean? So
exactly.
it's pretty cool.
And the hiring process speed increase, right? So
Mhm.
because there's a lot of other companies vying for that one candidate, they're trying to speed through. They're trying to get the offer letters out. They're trying to have that next that follow up pretty quickly. But at the same time, you have the increased resources per hire. So whereas
Yes.
before maybe you would go through a or interview maybe 3 or 4 people and you'd hire one. Now you're interviewing a lot more people, maybe taking that the hiring process a little further down while they're going through a different process with another company, and now it's 4, 5, 6, before
Especially
you
if
get
you have
on.
multiple interviews with the same person, as they go through the stages. Absolutely. Like, because we do cultural interviews, we do, personality interviews, that kind of stuff. In addition to, the skills interviews, it takes a lot of resources.
Yeah, absolutely. And so resources, look, that's money, right? Time's money. These are all very, very difficult, right? I'm going to jump back to that in just a moment when it comes to the time and the resources. But then you have, the employee churn, digging into that. Just throw these up. Obviously, same thing, right? Competitive job offers. So you have
Mhm.
your employees that maybe they're loyal, maybe they're great employees. Never would think that they would. They're legacy employees. Never would think that
Mhm.
they would jump ship. But some will.
They're
And
getting their hall pass. It's like having a hall pass list, right?
right,
It's like they're getting so many offers thrown at them left and right. It's like you're hoping they're loyal, but
yeah,
and it's not hope. I as an employer, I know it's our job. We don't hope for anything. We work toward things, but you know what I mean? But I get it,
yeah.
it's but I think that's not very different if you approach hiring. I'm not trying to hijack this. I apologize, but like
No, no, please, no.
if
I
you
love this.
but if you approach the hiring process and employee management the same way you approach sales, um, in sales and account management, there's always a competitor that's knocking on your client's door, right? There's a million other IT people out there pitching their services. There's always someone trying to throw that offer out there. Um, you know, if you approach it like that, approach your employees like that, you have to show your value. I encourage my employees, keep showing me your value every day. Don't sit there and let me tell you in your review how you did. You tell me how you did. You tell me what you think you gained and why you're better today than you were the last 6 months or whatever it is. Teaching them to do those things. And in sales, we're used to that. We're used to proving our value. We're used to, you know, getting past the pain points and the objections and all that fun stuff. And teaching the employees to do the same thing in return, it adds value to them. And I think, you know, once they learn that, it's great. And that's why I approach the employee management very similar to sales. It's a lot of the same tenets, I guess, that apply.
You know, one thing that I think this is causing a lot of business leaders to now look at is, you know, we've been there before, maybe know someone, or been in that situation where the new person hired on with your same position is getting paid more money than you are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's happened, you know, and now you can't do that as much because,
right.
you know, you have to make sure it's competitive throughout.
They'll leave and they know the next position they may get 10 or 15,000. I have a friend, he's not even high, he's mid-level. He went from one good paying position to another where he got $30,000 more just for going to the next position. As a junior, he went from a mid-level position to a junior, but he got 30 grand more.
And which company is this?
It's a leadership company. It's no. You know, no, it's, you know, I was talking on the way to Orlando driving up, you know, like I said, that networking, talking to my all-star list, you know, I keep close contacts, especially because it gives me, you know, a year or more to get acquainted with these people and learn how they are and how they think in social circles, not just I'm the awesome person in an interview kind of thing. And so I was talking to them on the way up to Orlando, and they said, no, originally I wasn't looking around because their company had just, there had just been some organizational changes in leadership. I don't want to get too far into it, but they were talking about, you know, I wasn't really looking around, and then somebody threw me an offer, and it was more than double what I'm making today. And this is not a low level person. This is somebody already 6 figures. And it was more than double. And it was like, well, maybe I'll look around to see what's out there. And that's why they called me. And, you know, I get it. I absolutely get it. And these things are out there. And it's hard for an employer because it's like the housing market. How much higher is it going to get and how much can be sustained? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know, you mentioned this already a couple of times. That short list, that list of that dream list, you know, people that you'd love to have on your team. You're just kind of networking. I love that idea. You know, and I suggest to everyone out there who's listening to have that list. I mean, my best hire that I ever was a good friend of mine. And I wanted him to work on my team, and it took me 6 months. He had a job. He had a good paying job. He was very, he is not someone who likes change. You know, he was you know, kind of established in his job and whatnot. And it was just, I just reached out to him, kept reaching out to him, and it just happened to be the right time, the right moment. And he was able to make that move over. And that's those people, those connections that you have, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, Sean, I knew Sean for 4 or 5 years, you know, in the MSP space. He was with a vendor. We worked together on that stuff. I was a client of his, and I knew him for 4 or 5 years until the time came. And he's like, and we always talked about working together. And he said, hey, you know, time's come. What can we do together? And I was awesome. And thanks to that time, you know, he came over and he brought Matt. And I'm so happy to have Matt with me. But, you know, Sean too, maybe. But, you know, it's that stuff. And it really, but those same people that you take away, and I get you can't hire your entire company like that. That's impossible.
Right. You can't be MC Hammer. You can't be MC Hammer.
Yeah. Although if I could get those gold gates with like my initials on them, that'd be kind of cool.
Christmas come early.
You're right. And who doesn't have hammer pants? But for those hires that you can do that long tail, you know, relationship building, those end up being the most loyal, the most you know, the people are going to stick by your side through thick and thin. So it's a nice thing to have.
Also, another thing that I'm starting to hear more and more of is this churn is happening. People working, I believe it's 2018, the number 2 item that employees wanted was flexible work. flexible work. That's 2018. You gave it 2 years, and then people had the most flexible work, right?
Yeah.
And so now you have the most flexible work. Try taking a pork chop away from a pit bull,
Right.
Yeah,
And I
it's really
laugh because if you remember HP, right, before the split, they had this. They were 30 or 40% work from home, and
mhm,
flex schedules, and they could go in and out. And then Marissa Meyer came in, and she put an end to that. And then they all had to come back to the office, and that was 2017, 2018. That wasn't that long ago,
right.
or maybe a little longer. And and they were making this big revolt about it because people liked working from home. And that didn't apply to the majority of the US market. That was
Mhm,
not the normal thing. And
right.
then you have these companies started now where it's like, I'm getting these interview questions every single time. Um, you know, are we going to stay work from home? Is it that you're going to expect us to come in the office? What's the travel requirements? What's the, because a lot of these people are realizing they enjoyed working from home. And
Absolutely.
I've had more than enough interviews where they say the reason I'm looking is because my company's requiring me to come back. um
Mhm.
so I had a guy I talked to. It was his third, fourth interview with us on Monday, and on Monday it's because he drives an hour. He's got to go to work twice a week to the office, and it's an hour drive each way. And even though it's a nice paying job and he's happy, he'd rather work from home. It's better for his work-life balance.
Or even Todd says he knows several people that started looking for new jobs when their employer started asking them to come back to the office. Uh,
Yep.
you know, and I think it was around 2016, 2017, because that's also when I believe
Mm.
Datto, they also went
One of
light.
those.
And I think IBM started playing around with it too. And if you go back, you can see these waves of in the tech field, in the tech industry, where it's work from home, no, everyone in the office. Well, new studies show that if you give flexibility, no, we have to keep control with culture. And I think what's been shown in the past year, is that it works. People enjoy it. I mean, if for some reason, what it reminds me of, people who don't, business leaders who dig their heels in and say, no, we got to come back to the office. It reminds me of city mayors who tried to keep Uber out of their city. It's like, this is where we're going, and
Yeah,
this is what people want, so,
exactly.
and if it's an
Exactly.
issue with productivity, then it's something that as leaders that you need to learn and you need to grow.
Yeah,
Um,
that's and you can only fight them so much, you know what I mean? It's going to happen. And the employees the same thing. And now they're realizing, well, if I can work remote, I don't even have to work for an employer that's in my city. I can work for
right,
an employer that's not anywhere. I've been
right,
pitching that to MSPs forever. For the last 10 years,
absolutely,
I've been telling MSPs, oh, because my market's unique and my market's this. And my answer is stop selling in your freaking market. If it's really, first of all, I can go sell in your market and I'll clean house. I have no problem with it. But
right,
if you really believe your little corner of the US or Canada or whatever is that different from the rest of the world, you're an MSP. You're fully remote anyway. Sell outside your market. It's not the end of the world. And employees are
absolutely.
realizing the same thing.
And if you have an issue with it, why don't your first hire maybe be a salesperson?
Yep.
Maybe be a
Agreed.
salesperson, and just do tier one things, so you can start building up some revenue from that market, and then start investing in that market. But also, so I saw this, or I heard this a couple times this past weekend, or this past week at IT Nation. More than a couple times, but I wanted to bring it up because I'd never heard it. But people leaving their employer because they're finding comfort with a lot of turmoil, a lot of up and downs, and people want to find some comfort. They want some familiarity, so they're linking up with colleagues that they used to work with, and they're reaching out to those other colleagues. They said, I want to be, I want to have that connection that we used to have. Maybe heck, after 2020, so many people across the United States, let's face it, in Florida, we didn't get the brunt of it like a lot of other states did. But there are some other states that
Oh
were
yeah.
locked down hardcore, and depression and all these other
Well, we didn't
things.
have COVID in Florida, so that's different.
Right. It was you got a tickle in your throat, boy. That's uh,
That's how you
so
know
this
you've
is
been here way too long. Yeah.
right. And I'll throw these up here. In the last one, lacking a lack of highly skilled team members, right? Lack of these highly skilled team members on your team. Um, Well, let's break it down. First, there's more underskilled job candidates than there are highly skilled job candidates, right? So you're just gonna, it just makes more sense that you would hire and you could have more, underskilled, however you deem to define that, employees or team members. The highly skilled employees, they might be leaving. They might be leaving because the higher your skills are, the more valuable you are, the more people will pay, the more companies will pay for you. So they might be jumping ship as well, which will leave you with a lower or underskilled or a team with less skills, and reduced incentive for employees to develop their skills. So I want to get your opinion on this. I've talked to a couple people about it, and I've gotten not mixed reviews, people agree than disagree, but I definitely want your input on this. What I'm seeing, what I'm hearing also is, since the job market is so competitive, not the job market, the candidate market is so competitive, and there are so many jobs out there, and employers don't want to lose their employees. A lot of employees realize, well, I don't really have to give it my good old college try. I don't have to, if I want to keep my job here, I don't have to, I'm not forced to reskill or upskill on my own volition. Are you seeing or hearing any of that, or how do you feel about that?
It's difficult because, they're pushing for education. I do see a lot on Reddit, right? So on Reddit, and Reddit, I'm a mod of Reddit. I appreciate the Reddit sub. It's sometimes a dumpster fire, as all internet communities can be. But we see people. I see the older legacy generation, and I say this. I'm 42, so when I say older, I'm talking about my own people. I'm not talking about, what I mean. I'm not talking about anybody else. But I see a lot of people saying, well, why do I need to learn? It's for the company's benefit. What's the point? And where the younger generation, I see they fully have a grasp on it. I need to learn to improve my value. They get it. They have a different mindset, and I love that. And I'll put this PSA out there for everyone. If you're saying I don't need to learn because it's only for my employer's benefit, it's not like the knowledge stays with the employer when you leave.
Right.
It goes with you wherever you're at. It's a resume item. It's something that you're an expert on. It adds to your value. You know what I mean? It's putting impact glass on your house, or putting a fresh paint of coat on your house. Make yourself more valuable.
100%. So with all that said, these are some problems. We dove into some of the issues that IT leaders are running into during hiring. So what do we do, right? We've already talked about some of the things you do, but really where should we put our focus? And my large answer is give people what they want. Give people what they want. And I'll explain a bit. What do people want? And I'll ask you, what do you think all people want? I've got a magic answer. And no matter what you say, I'm going to twist it around so my answer is the only one that's right.
That's the magic trick, right? Like, pick any card, the one I'm going to give you. Now, I think what people want is satisfaction, whether it's satisfaction knowing they're doing a good job, satisfaction knowing they're taking care of their family. They want to be satisfied. And I know that's overly, I think I just threw you a softball, so you can.
No, that's great. It's actually what people want is, it began in 1842. No, it's to be valued. It's that satisfaction with, and I'm not just talking about work. I'm talking about in general, what people want in life. And we want to be valued. I don't know I haven't come across any answer that someone has given me that I can't link back to that making that person feel good, that making that person have value or feel valued. So if it goes back to being valued, I like to look at, well, what is it that we can do to show people that we value them? What is it we can do to show the employees that we value them? Couple things. Well, number one, you kind of talked about it before, was, we'll look at, what do, we were talking about the top 4 or 5 things that employees want. Well, there's research out there. There's research. Oh my goodness. In halfway through this year in June, I mean, CompTIA, Citrix, IBM, oh my goodness, DDI. So many reports came out, so many research papers came out on what employees want, what they're looking for, and in tech as well. And as mentioned before, there's a couple things that rang high on it, and this is actually IBM from their in June. It came out what employees expect in 2021, and the question that was posed was what organizational attributes do you think are most important for an employer to engage employees? And of the four, the first one was work-life balance, right? Work-life balance, okay, that makes sense. Second one up was career advancement opportunities. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Career advancement opportunities. Well, if you want to give your employee career advancement opportunities, what goes hand in hand with getting that career advancement? Education, some type of knowledge. Yeah. You got to be developed. You got to, and if you want to make that or have that employee feel valued, and you want to give them what they want, let's say, and it's a career advancement, you can't just give them a promotion if they're not qualified. So what do? Do you wait for them to get qualified? No, you've got to put some effort in there, invest, and get them developed. The other one, number 4, was continuous learning for upskilling and reskilling. So of the top 5, 2 of them included development opportunities, the times where you would where the employee would want to be developed. I think this is, if employers aren't looking at this as like, what are those little cracker toys that you turn, you spin it around, goes, tick, 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 tick. I mean,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like you do New Year's stuff. Yeah, noisemakers. Yeah.
Right, noisemakers. I couldn't come up with noisemakers.
That thing that makes noise. It produces noise when you spin it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Bolton leadership. So
it's because you're sitting, dude. If you were standing, it would come right away.
Standing, I'd be on it. But yeah, those 2, career advancement opportunities, continuous learning. I think this is something that needs to be a focus, because right now there is, from what I'm seeing out there, from the conversations I'm having, because people are asking these questions, and I ask them what they're doing, and I don't hear this, and I don't see this. And these 2 have been on the top 5 for the past 3 or 4 years. And
let me ask you, because you have a wider view than I do, right? I talk to my colleagues, but sometimes it's a little bit of an echo chamber, right? So you have a wider view. So my thing is, my job as an employer, and my managers are in charge with this too, is we are there to support, build, and coach our employees. That's our jobs at the end of the day. Forget whatever departmental responsibilities are. Our jobs to the employees are to do those things. When it comes to career development, continuous learning, are we talking about, because I ask other friends, right, other organizations, other MSPs, what is your learning? Because everybody said, yeah, we're doing learning. And my question is, okay, well, are you doing a lunch and learn? Are you doing, saying, okay, you're paying for some certifications or paying for testing? Like our own thing is, we have paid certifications. We have, we do OKRs. We subscribe to the Google OKR method.
Yes.
I can't take credit for that.
I love OKRs.
My wife came up with, my wife found that doing the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small business. So I give her full credit, but organization wide, we do that. On the clock paid time, we dedicate 1 to 2 hours per week of just, they are doing their training per the OKRs we set, obviously quarterly. And then, sometimes there's independent, whatever. And the OKRs are their completion of the OKRs and training are part of their semi-annual performance reviews for compensation increase. So we're heavily invested. And then we have a training budget per employee period across the organization. You saw how many we took to IT Nation.
Yep.
Most of them were not just working the booth. We had several people that were going there for sessions, did the same with channel partners. How many organizations are small business, not talking, 100 employee or 100,000 employees, that kind of thing, but small business, are dedicating themselves to development that way, saying training budget on work time, actually setting part of their performance reviews, that is how much they're improving their careers and their knowledge. How many employers are invested into that?
I'll
That's
put
a
it this way.
problem.
Yeah, you were saying these things. You were saying these things. I'm getting flummoxed. I'm like, whoo, stop it. I mean,
But
it's
like,
exactly what you're saying is what needs to be happening. You know, the only other thing that I maybe I missed it. I'm not sure. Did you? Yeah, taught very few, very few. Like it's so small. I don't want to sit here and give a percentage out, but it is low. It is shocking and refreshingly shocking, shockingly refreshing. One of the two that you are doing all those things let's talk about investment. It's not that grand of investment. You know, it's people fear it. I believe one reason is they're not able. It's difficult to show the ROI. You know, because they don't know how to calculate the ROI because they're looking for immediate. So many times you can calculate ROI pretty quickly. But when it comes to development, development is just that. It's an evolution. Right, it takes
it's not
time.
that expensive. I think our budget's $1,250 or $1,500 per employee per year. It's not crazy, plus whatever certs and whatever, dedicating a couple hours. It's not crazy when you say, okay, well, I can take an employee that came in at tier 1 and I can give them the skill sets and training they need to be tier 2 within a year or 2 years because we're dedicating ourselves so heavily, versus if I took that same employee and I would have had to hire a tier 2, my cost would have been 30-40% higher.
Doggone
The math
it.
is
Get
easy.
out of my slide deck. Get out of my slide deck.
Well, I have to speed up because it's 1:57.
Yeah,
I apologize for interrupting so much.
Well, no,
But
not because this is great because we've discussed a lot of these things. So when it comes to hiring or having that difficulty hiring qualified talent, see, I already know this answer just because I've heard that you have a plan, that you have a plan set up for development. And I know you market that plan to your candidates, right?
Oh, Michelle laughs, and exactly. Investing in employees helps with retention. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Michelle laughs because she says, I know when you like a candidate because I will start selling us to them. I will start saying, oh, we do this and we do that. Because also I want to see, there are certain people, I want to make sure they're not of the old guard of, I don't want to do training. Like to certain people, they just want to get in and get out and be done, that aren't invested heavily in their development. That is not the kind of employee I want with us. I want the kind of employee that's invested in themselves as much as we're investing in them. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, and we tell them up front. And the ones that get excited, the ones that get that passion that are like, yeah, those are the ones we want to hire. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. I get excited about this stuff.
No, you're saying all the right things, and this is your show, so you're fine. No, you're good,
So,
man.
I do need to wrap up. Simon's going to yell at me because we have like back-to-back things today. Give us the wrap up. What is the most important thing we're missing from today?
It's exactly what you're doing. It's the development. It is investing in people. Think about that. Think about any time, even when you've learned something bad or something's bad happened, that sticks with you, right? You learn that. You say, well, I've learned I learned never to do that again, right? This education knowledge sticks with us. What better way to show someone that they're valued than to invest in their knowledge, invest in their future, something that they can take somewhere else? That shows loyalty. When you have look, okay, maybe you can't compete on the salary. Okay, but get them, and it doesn't have to be maybe $1,200. That's phenomenal. But I mean, have a development plan. Internally, there is a lot of knowledge. Actually set up a plan and let them know, set the expectations that when you come in, we're going to set you on this path. You know, when the increased employee churn, the same thing. Invest in them. Invest in their development, in their education.
Those top three things: feeling valued, work-life balance, career development. Those were the things before salary they were looking for. Which is crazy to me, right? Because like, my 20s, like I'm looking for salary. I wasn't looking for career development, and I talk to people now and they're like, no, I want to have fun. I want to know I'm doing something valuable. I want to, it's not that salary is not important, but it's not the driving factor, which makes me wonder, like, our employers, and I know I got to keep it short. It's already 2:00. Simon's going to yell at me. He's nodding his head. He's like, yeah. But it makes me wonder, Aaron, are employees missing the mark? Are we throwing extra money at it because employers don't understand what the employees are looking for? Is
100. I don't want to say 100, but I think that is very, very accurate. I mean, even if you think about the time that you're spending, the time and the resources that you're spending trying to find that highly skilled, that qualified employee, and you keep trying, you push away all the other people who maybe aren't as qualified. Well, what if you cut out a bunch of that time, bring on someone who isn't as qualified, and then invest in them to get them up to where you need them to be?
That our internship, I used to be so proud of our internships. We used to do that, and it was a gold mine of people because you get students that were invested. I sit on college and high school boards, and you get these students and high school and college students that were invested in their development. They wanted to spend time doing this. We did paid. I mean, I wasn't trying to take advantage of anybody, although I'm a fan of apprenticeship. And you'd get these rock stars and you would say, okay, well, I want to hire him or her. And we get to cherry pick these people. And like after a 6 or 12 week, basically performance review or trials. And it was great. And anyway, I apologize. I talked way too much. I know we barely got through your slide deck.
No. That was it. We covered everything that I wanted to cover and then some. And like I said, I love the conversation. I love the conversational, webinars. I don't know. I would give this an A+.
Thanks, brother. And we'll do this again because this is the conversation you and I, we can go on forever. And we talked about doing your podcast. Has your podcast released yet?
No, not yet. No, actually, I want to get 2 more in, and I need to get you on there. We'll promote it up afterwards.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, thank you so much. His LinkedIn's below, Aaron Bolton Leadership. You see, it's not just about having the knowledge. It's not just about having, the experience, but having that passion, understanding what you're doing and having that passion for it. You exude it. And I appreciate the hell out of you, man. Thank you. What's next for you?
What's that?
What's next for you? What's going on next?
Next up is, well, actually right now I'm, every month I'm, training a group of 60 to 70 veterans, military veterans.
Oh, wow.
Training them a new group every 60 to 70 or every month of 60 to 70, and training them in emotional intelligence, in conflict resolution, all soft skills, leadership skills, and that is such a passion of mine. I mean,
that is fantastic. I love that. Serving those who served us. I absolutely love that. Well, thank you so much, man. Simon, we have stuff coming up too. What's next, Simon?
Yeah, so we do have a couple of events coming up, and one of them is actually today in 1 hour. Ray is going to be moderating Grading AMA at Leg Up 21, which is our virtual conference. Join us at 3 p.m. today. And you can see the link down below. You'll be able to register. Next week, we have a partner first on Wednesday with Marnie of Lifecycle Insights. It'll be the Human Stack, a guide to customer success for MSPs. This will be a little bit of a live workshop with her. And then the following week on December 1st, we have a partner first webinar featuring Cognition 360. And to wrap it up, the following week, we will be at the ASCII SMB IT Success Summit and Cup Party in Anaheim, California. That will be on December 8th and December 9th. So make sure
yeah, and we're working with ID Agents December 14th or 17th, something like that. We're just getting the stuff done now. So it is nonstop. It is. But I definitely enjoy doing this. Thank you so much, Aaron. We'll see you later. OIT family, thank you for joining us for this last this hour, and we'll see you guys later. Have a great day.